So you're ready to start tackling your paper, but you're quickly overwhelming yourself because you're in the early phases and you're completely overwhelmed with all you have. You don't know what categories you should be making. You don't know what piles you should be making. You don't know what to call them. Forget about all of that. Take a step back. If it's the early phase, early stages for you, I want you to just create 2 to 3 categories that kind of encompass it all. I'm going to do this today with examples from 3 clients. And these 3 clients have used just 2 to 3 categories to sort their paper in these early phases. There's this one picture in particular that I'm really excited to share, and I'm going to kick off with that in just a moment, and I'm going to reveal to you what is on those Post-its. But first, tell me, maybe you've been facing a big load of paper and you don't know what your final categories will be, and you're just kind of freaking out because you're trying to go from, impenetrable wall of paper into perfect files and perfect labels. I don't want you doing that. Okay. Maybe you're facing an avalanche of paper and you're looking at that, but you really should be looking at just what you're going to keep. You don't know what you're going to keep yet. I want you to have eyes on only what you're going to keep. And these 2 to 3 categories are going to help you do that. So these 2 to 3 categories are going to help you encompass all of your keepers, all of your keep paper, and help calm the panic of these things not yet having a home. These little systems are going to help you to keep it moving fast in the beginning before you have the perfect picture of the end game, before you know what you're going to call everything and where everything's going to live. These categories will help you just kind of like slice through it and keep moving at a metronome pace. And then the next step will reveal itself. What to call things, what to label things. Are you doing color coding? Does it live on my desk? Does it live on my cabinet? Put all of that aside during this phase. You don't need to see the final result in order to just like cut through the wall of paper in front of you. So with that, this is a system I have been excited to share on YouTube for a long time because for years now, since about 2020, I have been sharing this countless times with my online coaching clients and with workshops that I give. And what we have done here is break her paper into active versus paper for filing cabinet. So to back up for a minute, this was a project where she had a home office that was so full she could not walk into it. There were boxes of paper stacked on each other. There were obviously loose piles of paper everywhere. There was all sorts of furniture that should not have been in there, like office furniture that had paper and supplies on top of it. You could not walk from the door to the back of the office with the cabinet, let alone the wall to the right that I'm picturing that had all of these file drawers and cabinets. You couldn't even touch it. You couldn't walk in. So, like, where do you begin when the project is that big and that dense? Exactly with what we're looking at here. We actually found these crates in the basement. They had something else in them. And I said, first thing we're going to do is just use what we've got. We're not going to go out and buy anything. Can't do that today. We're going to go down and bring up those 2 crates. And I asked her, I said, does this make sense? Can we categorize all of your paper into just 2 categories and 2 crates? Those are going to be active, to-dos, and paid bills. And then the second category, second crate, is going to be any paper that is safe to file away in a file drawer or a cabinet. And she said, yes, that makes sense. Let's test it. So then we're sitting in the living room here. We go to the office and we're not taking boxes and boxes out. We're just taking like 3-4 inch stacks of paper, dealing with one stack at a time, finishing one stack at a time before we go in and reach for more. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by feeling like you have to solve, decades or years worth of paper problems at once. Just maybe 3 or 4 inches at a time. So obviously there are things that we trashed and things that we shredded. But then we are only looking at what to keep, and just, you can see for yourself what these categories are. This was 2020, so she wanted to keep track of paid bills from 2020 and 2019 and follow up slash did I pay. You may be able to relate, but she was finding bills that she was hoping she paid them, but she wasn't certain. And she really needed to see those all at once. So that generated a project for her. And if it was something that she knew she had to keep for records, for archives, something that she didn't, have to put her hands on every week, every month, all of that went in the right cabinet. And naturally, we're creating folders as we go. We're not creating folders in a vacuum. We are only creating a folder when we find a piece of paper that needed a folder. You may notice, just as a side note, I'm using Sharpie marker on Post-it notes because at this point, at this early phase, we are not carving any labels in stone. Nothing is permanent. We really want to kind of like be quick on our feet and nimble and give ourselves permission to change our mind as we're just kind of touching all of this raw paper for the first time. I have repeated this system so many times. I have taught this to so many people, and it has really helped them approach what seems like a very unapproachable project. So, moving on, this second example is from a client in her professional office, not a home office. And I remember she had more than the 4 crates that you see. I know she had way more, maybe like 5 or 6 at least. And they're just old paper. So why was I there? She didn't know what to do. She didn't know where to begin. I remember sitting right in the middle of her office floor saying, I have an idea. I think of every paper we choose to keep, it's actually going to go into these 3 categories. So if it wasn't trash, it was either keep, I know where the home is. That was the easy stuff. Like it has a folder. I can picture which cabinet, which drawer it's in. I know where the home is. Second, keep, but I don't know where the home is. Like I think it has a home. I can kind of picture the drawer. I can kind of picture the file. I just need to find it. I can't put my eyes and hands on it right now. And the third one, keep, but it needs a home. So what you might be able to notice here and what happened was that this third category, keep, needs a home, became the thickest category. At the end of this session, I think she ended up with like, I don't know, 4 inches or so in this needs a home category. So now, instead of hours earlier thinking that that whole wall of crates was her work, now what you're looking at here is her work. It's just a fraction of what she thought she had to deal with. And keep needs a home was the real work. That was the thickest category. So now she's looking at like 4 inches of paper that she kind of has to think through versus 4 or 5 plus crates of paper. It worked beautifully. I had vivid memories of just sitting on the floor and just boom, 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 boom. If it wasn't trash, everything landed here. And some of this was going to be easy work, some of it was going to be difficult, but it felt doable. It felt definable. We were giving nice little boundaries to everything to keep. She could feel a sense of accomplishment before everything was filed away, which I just love about these simple systems. And finally, this is the simplest of them all with this third client. If she had to keep it, it went into keep needs a file and has a file. So these 2 categories are similar to 2 categories that you just saw. And here with this picture, we are back in a home office. So in these situations, we're not pausing to make final folders or final labels. We're setting ourselves up. That can sometimes, for a lot of people, require putting on a different thinking cap. It can be a lot to, in one sitting, decide what paper to throw away, decide what paper to keep. Do I need to put my hands on it? Do I not? What kind of label does it get? Does it get a colored folder? Like, silence all of that noise. Don't get ahead of yourself. These examples that I've shown you just really help you to keep it moving in the face of frustration and overwhelm. even if you're overwhelmed, you can do something. Even if you're frustrated, you can keep it moving. You don't have to feel like fully prepared and clear headed and motivated to make progress. And that's what I hope I've shown you with these client stories and pictures here. So please leave a comment if you think this will be useful. Please subscribe if you would like to receive more video lessons like this. I have plenty more coming, and I have plenty from the past similar to this. I would just love it if you could like, subscribe, comment. I love to hear from you. I love answering questions in these comments. And most of all, I just want to know if this is a system you see yourself implementing. Again, I'm Kacy Paide. I've been a professional organizer since 2001. I am here to teach. I am not here to influence. I am just teaching you everything I've learned out in the field and just opening it all up and just showing you real systems that work from real homes and offices that may have looked just like yours. So thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it.